Father Simon in the Gallery of Hope. Look at you. Would you
Gallery
look at you?
of Hope.
Gallery.
Yeah.
How beautiful that is. First of all, I should say, I was a big fan of Vanessa Paradis. And Jola Taxi was a favourite song of mine back in the day. I've no doubt that these two things were the guiding force behind what I'm about to confess. The night this all started, I was in a nightclub away from my hometown. My mate Jackie had just bought a new car and we fancied a night out. It was serendipitous timing that we ended up getting doled up to the nines and heading off to get our groove on. With a bunch of professional footballers and other movers and shakers, we were off with the yuppie set, with our shoulder pads and our kitten heels.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, I should add at this point that Jackie and I were recently both heartbroken by our men, and we might just have been a little bit bitter. I'm not using this as an excuse, it was just a fact. For this reason, neither of us were looking out for replacement idiots. Or smelly boys, as we called them. We were happily out to dance and be merry.
Okay.
Do they want replacement idiots?
No.
No, they don't. Do they want smelly boys?
I'm sure many
No,
people
they don't.
want replacement idiots, but anyway, yeah.
An hour or so into our evening, a couple of very nice-looking men came over and asked if we wanted a drink. The one that leant over to me had a gorgeous Eddie Murphy smile and a Samuel L. Jackson voice. Oh, please.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm intrigued to hear his voice there.
He was tempting, but we made a pact not to speak to smelly boys. So he says,
Yes.
so,
Go on.
baby,
Oh,
what can I...
I'm going to have to turn away.
He's actually doing it.
Well, what can I get you?
Okay.
He purred in his silky smooth tones. See?
Yeah, that was
How
very,
silky smooth was that?
very silky.
As quick as a flash, I replied, and much to Jackie's horror, 2020 watermelon, please. Now, I had to check this, but a 2020 watermelon was a fruity Alco pop, which was all the rage.
Oh, right.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
You might see them in the
Like a
park.
hooch. Like a
Yeah,
hooch,
exactly like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you might wonder why Jackie looked so horrified. It wasn't actually the fact that I was talking to one of the smelly boys, but what I failed to be able to type was the fact that I did this in a very, very thick, outrageous French accent. So that actually it sounded more like,
Yeah.
I would like a 2020...
What? No, have another run at that.
Okay.
What was that?
I would like one of your watermelon drinks.
Watermelon.
Watermelon, please. So Loverboy says, oh, girl, you're a Frenchie? You're a Frenchie? I love your accent. And Eddie Murphy's mouth, we'll call him Randy. I just smiled sweetly, took his drink and tried to ignore him. Meanwhile, Randy's friend was a little sweet to my friend Jackie. Girl, you're a Frenchie too? She looked at me horrified. We, she replied.
Of course.
This, instead of being a fleeting exchange, seemed to have piqued their interest in us, and the smelly boys, having bought us our drinks, attempted to hang around. We didn't speak much, but that didn't matter. It was loud and dark, and we danced on a very busy dance floor, me drinking my watermelon bottle with a straw, and Jackie following me around with her Coca-Cola. We knew how to live. Just before the lights went up and the traditional end-of-the-night song, New York, New York, started playing, we went to leave. We were halfway across the car park when Randy came running up behind us. Hey, Frenchie! He shouted. Hey, Frenchie! How close am I? Would you say?
Very, yeah.
It took a minute for me to realise that he was calling me, and then it struck me. I was out in the open, no music to save me, and I had to converse with this quite gorgeous man. The drink was working, and he was, to be honest, a bit of a dish. So I reply,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. We have to go.
We have to go.
We have to go.
Yes.
I'm mustering my best accent here. Randy was undeterred. Your number, give me your number. Well, this is like an entire play.
This is so good.
Well, this was before mobile phones, and so anyway, without thinking, I gave him my home phone number. 3 hours later, which must make it like 4 or 5 in the morning or something like that, the phone rang.
I wonder who it could be. Is it Randy? I hope so.
Hey, girl.
Oh, hey, girl.
I've been thinking about you. And so it began, Randy calling me, and I was speaking to him in the worst French accent you have ever heard. Oh, well, I got that right. Eventually, I agreed to meet him again, and I quite liked him. I didn't know what to do. I wanted to come clean, but I felt I was in too deep. So before long, I had built up a whole backstory. I came from the town I had luckily been to on a French exchange some years earlier, and my sister was called Emily. But we'd lost touch since I moved to England. Under a cloud. Sous le cloud.
Very good. Very much.
It didn't put Randy off, though. I kept talking and meeting him for 8 months.
8 months?
8 months of using a fake accent and a fake name. I should add at this time, when he asked me what my name was, the only French name that came to mind was Marie-France.
Of course.
From the 80s textbooks about Marie-France and the facteur.
Monsieur Lafayette.
That's the one.
Où est la bibliothèque?
Lying to Randy was tearing me apart, Father Simon. Well, a little bit. I quite liked Marie-France. But one night, fate stopped me, having to tell Randy the truth. Jackie and I had arranged to go out closer to home. We were drinking and dancing when I felt a tap on my shoulder. It was Randy, and he looked devastated. He'd been standing behind me, listening to me talk to my friends in my very broad English accent for at least 5 minutes, and he couldn't believe his ears. "You're not French?" he said. "No," I replied, suitably shamed. He walked off, and I never heard from Randy again. After a couple of months of being miserable, I left my boring bank job, became a teacher of languages, and after spending 4 years in France, can actually speak French with a better French accent now. I even married a Frenchman. How about that?
Okay.
Father Simon, I would like to ask forgiveness for my French deception to Randy. He was a top bloke, and who knows what could have happened if I'd just been English from the start. I also like forgiveness from Jackie, who also had to keep up her French accent, if only for one night. And I'd also like to seek forgiveness from France.
Yeah, all of it, yeah.
For forging a terrible accent to be one of them. So please forgive me, France, is how Mila, let's call the whole thing off. Signs off that particular tale from the dance floor. Sister Bobby.
Milo, well, France will forgive you just for, keeping going with it. At least you gave it a go. I'd be rubbish. I'd have lasted about as long as Simon.
Imagine that being rubbish.
Yeah, there you go. What I can't forgive you for is lying in love, because Randy didn't deserve it. Yes, but their boys are smelly, and lots of them are very bad, but that might have been one good one that you ruined, you see, because that's it. You can't fix the last one with the new one. That's the advice. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think so.
So, Milo, you lied about love, and you can't do that, I think. So, unforgiven.
Lessons in love. I think Level 42 told us so much, didn't they?
Isn't it, though? I mean, I'm going to forgive here. And the reason, number one, any confession that involves you having to do that many accents.
Oh, it was a little bit unfair.
It was superb. No, I love that. And the fact that she had that's a degree of commitment there. I'm going to keep doing this accent, not for one night. I'm going to do it for 8 months. 8 months of Kosovo talking like this the whole time. Really? Goodness me. Well, and then you decide to go and live in France. It's almost as if you were living it. You were living this lie, and then it was no longer a lie. It was your life. So for that reason, I go to